Good afternoon, YouTube. Today, we're going to look at the basics of drum synthesis. I did a little post on my Instagram and my TikTok just recently covering the very basics of drum synthesis, and I wanted to go into it in a little bit more detail on my YouTube channel, so here we are. And I've got a few examples set up, so we're just going to walk through them. So firstly, I've just got this real simple little setup. I've got a gate sequencer here. It's being sent a clock off screen, courtesy of this Venom patch bay. And I've got a VCO. As you can see, it's a sine wave in the scope. It's going to this VCA, which is being controlled by this envelope. So let's just bring this in. You can hear that. And we're also going to gate this other envelope here, and this is going to control our FM. Now, obviously it's not doing anything because I haven't turned this knob yet, but you get kind of the classic sort of sci-fi zap sound, and if you increase it, it just gets more and more intense. And on the scope, you can see what it's doing. Obviously, it's affecting the pitch, so you get this effect. Excuse me. And if we lower the decay, though, it becomes more percussive. And let's lower the decay on this one as well. And let's lower it further still. And let's pitch this down. And suddenly, we've basically got a kick drum. And that's kind of it. There's more to it than that, but that's kind of the basics of drum synthesis, is envelopes controlling pitch, and of course an envelope controlling the volume. And that's essentially it. But I have several more examples to show you, so let's just zoom out. Let's go over here, mute this, and let's go to our second example, which is this little drum machine, not machine, just drum voice that I made to demonstrate on my Instagram. And this is a little bit more complex because I've included a noise source, which means that I get a little bit more detail in the top end, a bit more of a snap or a click. Now, you already get that click without the noise because of the way the envelopes are snapping. And for this example, I used all VCV modules just to sort of show that any module can do it. And I guess this is the thing about drum synthesis. Let's just do that. Is that in VCV there are a lot of drum modules, and some of them are really excellent. Like I've talked about the Prok modules. I've also got the trimmer modules from Volt and Kickall, and there are others. And of course, VCV makes their own as well. But I think that part of the reason why there's not more is because you can just make them yourself. And this is true of modular in, various areas of synthesis. So it's not like completely crazy to say that or anything, but it is fun to explore what you can achieve by just using stock modules or any other modules, really. And I've got a bit of debriatus here to really give it some grit. Also got a filter. So anyway, you kind of get the idea. That's a very basic voice, but I think it sounds pretty good. Let's just unclock that, and let's unmute the next one. And so this isn't so much an example of how to set up your own drum synthesis. This is just one module from Prok, as you can see. This module is called Skin in the Game, and it's just a basic drum voice. And the reason I brought it up is because it is doing exactly, in very clear ways, it's set up exactly how I've set all the other examples up, only this is self-contained. So we got our pitch envelope, and we've got our amp envelope. So there's not really much else to say. I just wanted to sort of show how simple drum synthesis is with this one module here. Okay, so this one is actually quite a lot like the others. I'm just using different modules to demonstrate it. In this case, I've got the VCO unit from Venom, which is a new module, and I'm using these two attack decay envelopes from NIST. And let's just add a few more hits in here. But this scope sort of, again, shows some of what's going on here. In that you can see the pitch, you can see the envelope overlaid. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of demonstrate that any module will do it. You can do it with Bog Audio modules, you can do it with the Volt modules, the new synthesizers.com modules, anything where you can modulate the pitch, it is possible. Okay, so in this example, I have an FM op and I have two slap envelopes. And this is to demonstrate that you can do this with FM as well. And so basically, I'm just gating these two envelopes. One of them is controlling the frequency modulation, and the other is just controlling the output volume. And it's very basic. As you can tell. And it's actually quite boring. But the thing is that you can do this with FM, and there are plenty of FM drums out there. In fact, it's a very common way to make to make drums is using FM. In fact, one of my favorites is the FM drum synthesis in the machine drum from Electron. And you can get similar vibes, as I'll just show you by moving over here. And I'll bring this output into here. And so in this case, I have a slap on the output, which has the VCA and the envelope. And then I'm also using this slap over here to frequency modulate this VCO, which is then going to this VCA and then frequency modulating this other VCO. So you can get a lot of percussive sounds. And you can extend this even further if you really want, to get even more wild stuff going by just... oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Sending this into this, sending this out into this. So FM is actually really great for percussive sounds. And if you really want to go wild, you can use like a sample and hold. Like this one. And just use this to, for example, change the VCA here. or alternatively, like we do another VCA, do the same thing. And this can be fun just for like, sampling, or just to get some glitchy sort of percussive sounds. Like if I maybe get a debriatus on the end here. So yeah, let's mute this. All right, so down here, I have a more extensive example. And so what I'm doing here is I've got a kick drum here, which is this OSC, or oscillator perk. And then there's a noise perk, which is sort of the snare. And then I have a clap and a hi-hat of sorts. They're not exactly, like the hi-hat's not really a hi-hat. But let's just mute these. Got a little mixer down here. So the kick drum, I've got it set up so we can, because I've been talking about sine waves this whole time, but you can use other waves. It's triangle wave, square wave. Saw doesn't, well, it works. It's not really my preference. I think square sounds pretty cool though. Let's go back to sine. And I have a VCA on the output, and I have this distortion to give it some grit. Without the distortion, it sounds like this. So still like a nice thump, but the distortion really gives it those harmonics. So you can do some quite like, 808 boomy sort of bass lines. If we just go over here. And then with the noise perk, I've just got a noise source going into a VCA, which is then going out of the VCA into a VCF, so I can control the timbre of it, which is then going out into this Prok module, which is called OT, which is overtime, actually. And it's got a bit of distortion on it. And I'm modulating the bit rate and the sample rate. And I'm doing that with sample and hold, which is here. And I'm using the same noise module from Bog Audio. I'm using the red noise and the blue noise to get different sample and holds, which are then going into this module from Coffee, which is just an offset module, dual offset module, which is a really handy little module, just so I can get the signal to be offset from where it actually is out of the sample and hold, so that we get the correct modulation, or the correct control voltage, I should say, into this module here. I'm also using this 4-to-1 sequential switch, which is being fed different constant voltages from this knob 5 from Venom, so that we get different, which is then, modulating the decay. So we get different decay on each hit, bit of movement on that. And then up here, I've got this noise plethora, which the top is going into this clap envelope module from Prok, which, as the name implies, is for clap sounds. And if I just bring up a scope, it's always fun to bring up a scope and see what's going on. But if I bring it out from the envelope, you can see, let's zoom in a bit. You can see it's doing what claps do, where it's sort of flamming, and you can control that with the number of rolls and the roll decay. So if I bring the roll decay, it spreads out and you can hear it, obviously. Sounds like a creaky door opening or something. Or you can do it really short. And the reason why it sort of still sounds a bit weird is because of this wormhole module. So let's make that dry. So yeah, it creates like clap sounds. It's a really great little envelope. It's very useful. And so yeah, that is being the sort of modulation of the noise source from noise plethora is being modulated again with a sample and hold every time it is triggered. So we get these X and A and YA adjusting the timbre of the sound. And so then over here, I'm using the lowest part of the noise plethora going into another clap module, just sort of creating this little glitchy kind of sound. And if you can see that this one's got a pretty short repeat on it. And it almost sounds like it's pitched. And the reason for that is, again, because I'm modulating the XB and the YB over here on noise plethora, but also I'm going into this module called Verb from 4MS, and it's great. It's a reverb, but it's more than that. So that's a pretty cool module. Yeah. So that's that. And then let's just unmute everything. And just for fun, let's, because you know I love it, let's bring a debriatus in. And let's, make this a bit fat. So yeah, lots of amazing stuff you can do with drum synthesis. You never really need a drum module if you don't want one. I mean, that's not to say you shouldn't want one, because they're pretty amazing, the ones that are out there, but you don't really need them. Like, you can make this stuff. And of course, you can always use samples as well, so whatever. But I also have let's just reset everything. I also have a little voice here that I've made using this OSC8 from Doc B. Really cool little oscillator module here. It's an FM voice. I've also got another FM voice down here in Energy from Geodesics, as we know, being run by these two 8-step sequences from Count Modular, and they sound like this. Down a bit. And let's skip that one, some reverb maybe. And let's just turn down. While we're at it, let's add some reverb over here as well. Let's tune that kick drum so it's a bit more in line with the bass line. Let's just Anyway, I'm just getting carried away now, just fucking around with my own experiments. But hopefully you get the idea that this is like just a fun way to use VCV, a fun way to use modular is just to patch your own drums. And I've been having fun doing it recently, so hopefully you get something out of it too. You may have noticed as well, I'm always using these Venom patch bay modules. They're just pretty cool modules. They help keep your patch pretty clean. When you sort of, you know, just want to patch a cable from one section of your patch all the way across. Also, listen to this while we're here. This OSC8 is a FM and additive oscillator. So we can stretch the additive nature of this oscillator, which then interacts with the one next to it. And I'm only using one of the outputs here. Let's listen to the other one. Very different. So anyway, again, getting carried away. Let's leave it at that. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section. Yeah, let me know what you think. And I'll see you next time. Bye.